Everybody wants to be, but nobody wants to do. Girl, it's time to be real, raw, and relentless. Everybody wants to be, but nobody wants to do. You know it's time.
Recrown you.
Today's episode is sponsored by Respect the No. It is a lifestyle brand geared against sexual assault. We know them, we are them, and we stand with them. For an exclusive 15% off, use code RESPECTME. Go to www.trulyinspiredlifestyle.com. Enjoy the show. Hello, ladies. It's your girl, Truly Inspired Martin, and welcome to another episode of Recrown You, the podcast. Y'all already know what time it is. It is time to recrown you. So who are we here for? We're here for the women who are ready to be real, raw, and relentless in their pursuit to unleash their inner badass in all areas of their lives. Women, we're here to do the work. I know it's been a long week, long day, whatever it is, but listen, when you're here, this is our safe space. This is where we come together as women, we laugh, we cry, we do the work. And that's what I'm here for. Of course, I'm here for a little bit of entertainment. I wouldn't be me if that didn't, transpire. But at the end of the day, the reason why I started this platform is to help you to unleash who you are supposed to be. And this month, we're talking all things sexual assault awareness. And it's been a ride, right? There's been episodes that made you cry. There's been episodes that made you laugh. There's been episodes that's been informational. And nothing changes today, right? You're going to get a little bit of the informational side. You're going to get a little bit of the maybe crying a little bit, laughing a little bit, but we're going to get into it. That's what we are here for. So I'm excited today, as I am every time I get on, because I know what happens when I do what I'm supposed to do. It helps you to do what you're supposed to do. So today, I got an amazing guest. She is all the way in Richmond, Virginia, okay? We are reaching people, and this is what it's about. In Richmond, Virginia, her name is Lillie Jones. She is the CEO of SENOJ Consulting Express. She deals with all things behavioral health and the sociological aspects of criminology. Let me not mess that word up. And it's funny that I just messed that word up, right? Because my degree is actually in criminal justice. And one of the reasons why I took an interest in Lillie is because of those aspects. I saw that she had this knack for all things behavioral health and the sociological aspects of criminology. And I remember when I first graduated from Clark Atlanta University, shout out to CAU. I remember when I first graduated, I just knew I wanted to work in criminology. A lot of people don't know that I actually, from the first time that I decided to pursue my master's, one semester I went for forensic psychology. I swore that was what I wanted to do. But, things happen, and that wasn't my path. But just because it wasn't my path don't mean that I don't still have an interest, and I love to take from women who are doing their thing. And she is that person that has the knowledge, has the resources. And I am so excited to learn from her today and get this story popping. Okay? So, without further ado, today's episode is called Wounds Untended. Lillie, you here? Are you here with me, girl?
You really just put me on this big pedestal, but hey, I'm with it. I'm with it.
Yes, Lillie, I'm excited to have you here today. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your story?
Wow. So I'm a country girl. Raised in Danville, Virginia, which holds true to being the last capital of the Confederacy. And needless to say, I think that's what incited my interest in behavioral health because if you don't get out of the last capital of the Confederacy, you will be committed for mental illness. But no, the interesting thing is, I am the youngest of only two, but my brother and I were born to elderly parents. My mother was 46 with me, and my father was 56. And actually, what happened, my dad went into Alzheimer's when I was 14 years old. And that sparked my interest in neurology and the brain and disorders of the brain. And that's really what drove me to go into criminal justice like you. Whoop whoop. Shout out to Virginia State University, another HBCU baby.
Hey, shout out to the HBCUs.
And then VCU. But definitely right now I work in the field of behavioral health for a well-known MCO. And my business, like you said, is SENOJ Consulting, but my brand, which is me, Lillie Mae, focuses on wellness, that mental wellness, that behavioral wellness, and that spiritual wellness. And so I think that's what we're going to talk about today, just, spinning off of that sexual assault, but really breaking down what a crisis is and how we deal with that.
Well, you done set the field right there. So go ahead and tell me a little bit about that. Do you? I didn't really get into this with you, but do you have any personal like relationships or any kind of stories with sexual assault or abuse yourself, or is this just something
So
you got into?
it's something I got into, but I will say this. Um, as a child, I struggled with obesity. I mean, at my heaviest, I was 417 pounds. Shout out to the 200-pound weight loss over the past 10 years.
Hey,
But
woohoo!
I always said sexual assault, I've never been assaulted until I understood what the definition of sexual assault is. And so when I began to think about it, sexual assault is any time you are forced into or action is forced upon you. Whether you pursue or continue that action, sexual assault is that force.
Mm,
And so I said, well, you know what? I could say, yeah, I've been there before. Now, personally, I've dealt with a lot of individuals close to me, some really good girlfriends that have been sexually assaulted, flat out raped by family members. And with that being stated, when you're going through that with your friends, you're going through it too. And a lot of people don't understand that. So many people struggle with secondary PTSD. And that's the result of going through trauma and crisis with other people. There is a such thing.
mm.
So I think it's important to talk about that.
That's very important to talk about that. So, in your practice, right? Do you deal with a lot of women that were involved in sexual abuse or rape? Like, tell me what a day to day looks like for you.
Okay, so for me, my jurisdiction are children and adolescents. Ironically, you'll be surprised at the number of our young people who are predators and who are victimized by their peers. I deal with a lot of females and males who have been sexually assaulted. However, the males, because of toxic masculinity, do not want to admit to being sexually assaulted.
Mm,
In my opinion, and this is my opinion, toxic masculinity yields aggressive sexual behavior and it also can yield homosexuality. And all, people are like, well, how can you say that? And I try to break it down, but I know we got a little bit of time, so I don't want to go deep into it, but we'll definitely talk about that again. But one of the things I think is important for you to understand relative to sexual assault and things of that nature is that crisis comes in three forms, or you can say there are three components of crisis, and that's that precipitating event. So, what happened? What happened before the actual act that caused the trauma, right? But then it's that perception of the event. So, you always hear and I don't want to just say men, but you always hear the predator say, well, they consented, or we were having fun, or she was into it.
Right.
But it's not what you think. It's that victim's perception of the event that causes that subjective distress.
Mm.
And then finally, it's the inability, and I don't like to use failure, but it's the inability of that individual to use the coping methods that they would generally use to get through trauma. Because the reality is that we face trauma every day. But if you have those three components that precipitate an event, that perception that causes you to be subjected to that distress, and then failure to cope like you normally would in any other case of trauma, that's it. That's all you need to be traumatized.
Mm. Ladies, she just dropped some gems. She just gave some intel, some real good information. I hope by now somebody has taken out a piece of paper, an iPad, something to grab these gems, because this is you had to pay for this information, okay? This is really, really good, Lillie. I love where we're going with this. And yes, we're gonna have to revisit that on another episode about that behavioral stuff that men go through and that trauma that sets them in those directions, right?
Yes, yes,
That's
yes, yes.
ooh, that's gonna be deep. Ooh, but we gonna hop off that real quick, right? So, so can you? I was doing a little. We're gonna take a little pivot real quick. I was doing
Okay,
a little research on you,
okay.
and I seen you started something called the Road Less Traveled. Am I right?
Wow. Okay, hold up. This is awesome. Yes. The road less traveled. Gracious. So the road less traveled was started because of the weight loss. And I'm doing this plus size modeling thing. And when I first stepped out there about 3 years ago, it was said to me, you don't have any sex appeal. Oh, you can walk in heels, but you're knock kneed and da 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 da.
Oh, girl, we got
So
some
when
things
you
in common
so
here.
when you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it.
Hello.
Needless to say, it has been nothing but fun. I've been picked up by a lot of different people to do different things. And so I thought about it, wait a minute. I have made it through. I had a tummy tuck to get rid of all that excess skin about a month ago, and I had my back, the skin taken out of my extra skin taken out of my back in December. And I said, but you know what? According to Europeans, I'm still obese. Guess what? Why don't I reach back and give my specialty plus, because I don't like super plus, because super plus is negative. Let me give my specialty plus, ladies, 26, 28, 30, 32, and above, an opportunity to get dressed up, have a group power photo shoot, and work on getting those pictures published in magazines relative to body confidence. So, the Road Less Travel is the body confidence tour. It was just supposed to be a 2 time project, but it has been deemed a tour. People have been reaching out from Jacksonville, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina. So, we did it in Greensboro last weekend. The next stop is going to be Danville, Virginia, because I want to take it to rural locations. Those are the places where those of us who are curvy plus or specialty plus really never get an opportunity to be celebrated and commercialized in the positive light. And that's what the Road Less Traveled is all about.
Ooh, yes, I'm here
So if you
for
need
it.
us to come to ATL, we there.
I know it. I know it. And you said some things in there that, really hit home for me. Like, one of the things a lot of people don't know is when I was younger, I used to do, like, like in my teenage years, I used to do like little modeling freshman year of college. Like, I really love
Wow.
taking pictures. I've always been told that I was photogenic, but I also dealt. A lot of people thought I was narcissistic, but what I was really dealing with was self love and self worth issues. So I would overcompensate for myself, right?
There you go.
Yep, and that was one of the things. And I remember I had to do my first runway show Girl, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I could do this because people done told me I'm knock-kneed. Like, I know I'm knock-kneed, but people done said it, and they're just like, how are you going to walk in heels? And,
But I bet you did it.
honey, slayed.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
That's,
I tell them
that's
if
the
I was
part.
walking in them at 400, I'm walking in them now at 220, and I
And
love
that's
it.
what it is.
That's
I love
right.
that. I had to do a little research on you because I'm like, she seems so amazing. Let me see what else she up to besides what
Oh,
she told me. So, yep, I did some research on you. But back to the program. So tell me exactly what does this messaging for you, wounds untended? What exactly does that mean?
untended wounds are simply the things, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna throw it out there, I'm transparent. The things that we as black people sweep under the rug that have happened to us, that have happened in our homes, that is still happening in our families, and we do not address them because we want to pray about everything. But I'm a firm believer you can pray, you can have a prayer warrior, but you need a therapist too. Simply reference those things which we do not address, which cause us to go into situations and we re traumatize other people, or we traumatize those individuals and continue to re traumatize ourselves.
Ooh, ooh, ooh! You said a mouthful right there. That's a mouthful right there. Listen, that's the truth. That's the truth. We do sweep things under the rug, and
Definitely.
it's been for generations, right? So
Oh, yeah.
generations of what happens in this house stays in this house, or you
There you
don't,
go.
yeah,
I hate it.
you don't tell nobody about none of that stuff because that's nobody's business. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And
right.
that right there, it puts this connotation in your head like, I can't tell you when something's wrong. I can't tell you when uncle did this. I can't tell you when my brother did that. And that's how these women were walking around with all this pain and hurt of molestation and rape and abuse, and we're not saying anything because we were taught not to say anything, and that's the hurtful part, right? So
Well, and you hit something else. The fact that you have to carry these burden, and the fact that uncle, say that that person says to you, well, uncle molested me and we had this child, but this child is being raised as your sibling. And then 20 years later, they find out you're not their sister, you're their mother on your deathbed. What have you done? You've traumatized that adult, and you traumatized that adult's children, because this person that they thought was what, their aunt, is now their grandmother who is dying, and they didn't have the relationship with them that they should have had. This is going to continue because of that. What goes on in this house stays in this house. That has ruined we as a black race of people, and it is breeding more and more untended wounds, aka undiagnosed, untreated mental illness.
oh, you just hit something else there. I'm gonna have to bring you back on that mental health piece, okay? Because there's definitely a lot to unpack in that mental health piece, and
Oh,
actually,
definitely.
yes, and I that's one thing that I myself, I'm a two-time suicide and domestic violence survivor, and those, man, listen, the mental things that I have dealt with and still have to push past on a daily basis, just based off even the trauma of being gang raped as a teenager. Like
Wow.
that set it off
Mm-mm,
for me. And that's why
mm-mm,
sexual assault this month is so major for me personally. Not just the stories, but the resources, right? And
mm-hmm.
being able to really help people, preventative measures, like talk about it, get the conversation started, because this stuff is important and it's festering inside of us and inside of our people and our women. And we always have this facade of, I'm okay, I'm good, but you're really not. It's just a surface thing.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, man, this that sucks. Ooh. Yeah, we're gonna have to bring you back on that. But so, what is some advice that maybe like one, two, three, maybe four tips to help someone dealing with things because they dealt with sexual abuse? Like, what's some tips you have for somebody that's dealt with sexual abuse?
You know what? It's really, really simple. It's really, really, really simple. Grieve. Allow yourself to grieve, because what people do not realize is grief and loss are not simply about death. When you are sexually assaulted, something is taken from you. Grieve in whatever way you need to do. If it's crying, if it's screaming, if it's going to the boxing gym and letting it off, if it's exercising, allow yourself an opportunity to grieve. Number two, it's important that we confront our abuser. Now, I don't mean go to their house and shoot it up and all of that. But you have to name them. Name them. That's what I mean by confront. Because when you name them, that's when now you're putting the blood back on their hands and holding them accountable. And finally, seek help. Seek help. If you notice, I didn't tell you to seek help first. Because one of the things that we as women like to do, we are proud of the strength that God gave us. And so, what that looks like is first, we need to grieve. We need to get it out so we can refocus. Once you refocus, confront and name your abuser. And finally, seek help.
Whew. I love that. I love that. And I never even looked at it in that way, right? Like you did something was taken from you. You lost something. Like you have the right to grieve and let all of that out. Ooh, Lily.
Hmm.
Honey, honey, honey. If this ain't snatching some edges, she over here spilling some tea, and it's the good tea that you need to
We
drink.
can't be snatching no more edges because I suffer from traction alopecia. We not doing it.
Oh man, I just flatlined just now. You were a mess.
I believe in transparency, and that's the other thing. Be transparent. If I can't say anything else, be transparent. Be transparent, because so many of us are walking around here hurting and hiding it, and we're hurting other people. And I ain't gonna talk about how we women ruining these men, but I'm gonna leave that alone. But anyway.
Mm, mm. Okay, that's another topic. I am so thankful for you, grateful that you took time to do this interview, to be here for women, to give back some of you. Somebody needed this right here, and I am just grateful that you were able to give them some kind of hope, some kind of resources, and maybe a little laugh or two. You know what I'm saying? Like we was in here cutting up. But
Well, I thank you. I'm honored that you even afforded me this opportunity, and hopefully, I will get down there soon because I am in the process of transitioning to North Carolina.
yes,
So
come on now.
hopefully, I can get there soon, and we can definitely do some things. Do some things.
Absolutely. It was amazing speaking with you today, but I cannot let you go without letting the people know how they can get in touch with you. Come on, come on.
Oh, gracious. Well, you can find me on Instagram. I am at Lillie Mae. That's LILLIEMAE underscore multimedia underscore plus model. That's on Instagram. On Facebook, I am Lillie, LILLIE, May, MAE, hyphen, the brand, hyphen, Senoj. That's SENOJ. And I would love for you guys to come to my page, check it out. I'm always posting a wealth of information, all things weight loss. I'm a weight loss surgery advocate. So please, if you're struggling with it, if people hate and telling you not to do it, but you know you need it, do it.
That's right, ladies. Do what you got to do for you. That's what we believe in
Ooh, I
around here.
like that girl.
Okay, you think I was about to rap real quick. But thank you so much, ladies. You know what time it is. This is a journey that a lot of us don't want to take, but it's a journey worth taking. It's time to restore, reset, and reclaim you. I'll see y'all on the next episode. It's your girl.
You know it's time. Recrown you.